Hey guys, it's Pete from MyJewelryBench.com. Today we're going to do a quick review of the blue and gold two-tone Submariner. This is probably one of the most desirable Submariners on the face of the earth. I don't know of any of my Rolex customers who either don't own one or don't want one. Everybody seems to love this watch. I'll admit the second most popular is the black dial with the black bezel two-tone, and then black on black bezel with the stainless steel band and case is the third most popular, at least with the Submariner line. The Hulk, I don't know. I've got a lot of customers who like the Hulk, but this one still is the most popular. So let's take a quick look at it while we're getting through this. You can see the watch has a midnight blue dial and bezel, and I think that makes it one of the nicest looking watches. This watch is approximately 8 or 9 years old. It's been serviced. I serviced this completely last year. We replaced a lot of parts in there that were damaged from a really hard fall. The watch itself is just gorgeous, and they clean up easy, they polish up easy. This customer doesn't want to spend the money to have the watch polished and textured again, the case and band. So we'll do that probably in the spring when he brings it in for a little quick test before he heads back north. Again, we're down here in Florida, so all the snowbirds are coming down now just before Thanksgiving, and they'll probably start booking around tax time. So this watch is just a great looking watch. This particular version, we've got the folding buckle. It is open. You'll notice that on some watches, this particular Submariner here, we have an open end cap. Some have the closed end cap. Is there a big difference? Well, the closed end cap is a little more secure than the open end cap. The open end caps on any watch can get damaged a little easier than a closed or a solid end cap, but it's insignificant on a Rolex because the quality of the band is much better than what you see, let's say, on an Invicta or a Movado or a Seiko. These cases and bands are just made much more substantial. Again, we're just looking at the open end cap here. I think one of the most striking parts of this watch is that the 18 karat gold and stainless steel band and case, the 18 karat gold bezel with the blue insert, as well as the 18 karat gold crown, stand out really well with the stainless steel, 316L stainless steel. It's just a good look. Very, very durable, although you should be careful with the gold crowns because gold crowns, they do have a stainless steel insert for threading, but they can cause an issue. This particular watch has a perfectly good working bezel on it, and that's always nice to see. Some people tend to turn those the wrong way and can destroy them. And I think when you look at any watch, whether it's a high-end watch or even a low-end watch, and you're looking at it on the used market, you just got to be careful and make sure that all the parts are still in good shape. I apologize for kind of moving this watch all around. Okay, so we're looking at the watch from a case perspective. You can see here the bezel works perfectly. Always remember to turn your bezels counterclockwise, not clockwise. You can damage them. We're going to look at the model number of this particular watch. The model number on a Rolex is almost always at the 12 o'clock position on the case. Let's take a look here. We got a 16613. I don't have the date of this particular watch. I'm not going to go look it up for practical reasons, but just to show you which version it is. 3135 movement in it, and that itself has a quick set feature, so you can set the date independently of the time. When you're setting the time, and I'm just looking here because today is the 3rd, we got to set the time here, so I'm just going to get this back to November 3rd, and we'll get this set for the customer. And remember, the date changes at midnight on all mechanical watches, even quartz watches. So if you're not sure about AM, PM, you can set the time within a 24-hour range, and you'll find out which is AM and PM. Solid gold crown in good shape. One thing you should always remember is when you are tightening down your crown, and every watch that has a screw down crown or screw down buttons for a chronograph, please never over tighten that crown. You do want to have it tight, but you don't want to give it that extra push. And I've got some customers who are former football players. They'll crank those down. You can strip the threads and damage the gold crown, and that in itself can cost you a small fortune. So you want to keep that, in mind. Like, again, you do want to tighten them, but not to the point where, it's not a car lug. So it just has to keep that rubber seal tight against the inside of the case so that it keeps water and moisture out. Let's take a quick look at the inside of this. The Rolex Submariner of this vintage always came with a 31-35 movement. It is one of the nicest movements that I've had the pleasure of working. I think the 3000 series so far I'm most impressed with. They hold up really, really well. They are very shock resistant. They can take a beating and run for a lifetime. I've always appreciated the 31-35 movement for its serviceability, and that's one thing that you should consider. These watches, we're trying to get a good focused picture of this. I'm going to get you a look at that 31-35 logo there, and this is a genuine Rolex. The quality of the material used in this watch by far is some of the best I've seen. Cartier, Rolex, some of the tags, just really good, high quality movements. There are some Cartier watches that I don't like, and there are some Rolexes that I just think were not made for serviceability, or they just don't hold up well, and you should keep that in mind when looking at specific watches. Always do research on what you're buying and find out exactly what's inside. This watch is a godsend for a watchmaker, because we can take this watch apart, clean it, and put it back together in about an hour to an hour and a half. And if we have to change parts, add another 30 minutes to that. One of the pros for this model is that it is very serviceable, and what makes it expensive to do the repair is the consumable parts of the mechanics that we have to change. Mainsprings, balance staffs, pallet forks. Those are substantially expensive parts, and they do cost quite a bit. A lot of times I'll even change screws in watches if I see damage to a screw from a previous service, or if the watch has taken a drop and a screw comes out. I always change the screw out, because you don't know if the screw threads have been damaged. Usually the screw is damaged more than is the plate or case. Now, when you're talking about comfort and wear, these watches are fantastic. They're just great on your wrist. The case feels comfortable. The band feels comfortable. And yes, it is a heavy watch. If you're doing a comparison to, let's say, a Movado or a Skagen or some of the other less expensive mechanical watches, these are substantially heavier watches. They're made with much more dense material, much better quality material, and you will feel the watch on your wrist. The wonderful part of that is that the case thickness is good on these watches. The back cover of the watch elevates the watch case from your wrist so that the lugs don't poke in. It's comfortable on almost any wrist of any size. I'm about 150 pounds, about 5'10". This watch, you can see, has got a 40 millimeter case, and it just fits very well on a wrist about my size, or up to about a 200 pound guy with a maybe a 7.5 to an 8.5 inch wrist. I think if you get into a much bigger wrist, and I have some customers that are big guys, 300 pounds, massive arms, and sometimes a 40 millimeter can look a little small, but again, the desirability of this watch outweighs the cosmetic look on your wrist, because it's just one of those watches you like to look at. It's very pleasing to the eye. So I just want to kind of conclude with some pros and cons. I think some of the pros of this watch: it is never going to lose its value. Even though the economy will have its cyclical cycles of going up and down, and things tend to become worth less, these watches continuously hold their value. Granted, about 10 years ago, you could buy one of these watches for about $5,500 in very good shape, used. And right now, if you can get a used one for under $8,500, you're doing really well. Typically, a reconditioned used Rolex Submariner with a blue dial and blue bezel is going to sell between $8,900 and about $13,000. So just keep that in mind. Brand new, they're about $13.5 to $15, depending on where you are in the world. And that's something to consider. You're never going to lose your value with a watch like this. It's going to hold its value forever. What are some of the cons with this watch? The cons can include the cost of service. Maintaining a Rolex watch, a men's Submariner, it's not a chronograph, so it only has the one complication, or the two complications, date and time. It's going to cost you between $250 and $500 typically to have this watch serviced. A high-end Rolex dealer might charge between $700 and $1,000 depending on where you go. I typically do these for my retail customers between I want to say $275 and $450 is a common price depending on what I have to service. A full tear down, replace the mainspring, any consumable parts like a pallet fork, we're going to be right around $450. So that's a con. Is it a con that you wear the watch every day? No, I think that's a plus. I think you should wear this watch every day. It is a watch that's meant to be worn. Enjoy it. I love this particular version of the watch, and I don't have one in my collection. I tend to keep more complicated watches in my collection, or much more antique watches. But this is a watch I would recommend that you have in your collection. For those of you who can't afford to have a true Rolex, you can get yourself, Invicta makes a watch that's virtually identical to this, and I'll put a link to in the description, both for the real watches and some of the what I would consider affordable watches that look similar. And I don't care if somebody wears a clone or comes into my store with a clone and they need service. I'm there for you. It doesn't get much cheaper to do the service on an Invicta as it is a Rolex, because it is a mechanical watch and it does take time to repair. But the look is pretty good. Just remember, the quality is not going to be as good as a Rolex. These things are made to really enjoy, and they hold up very well. Waterproof. After you get this watch, you could go diving with it. If you do dive or swim with it, I recommend having it checked every year or every other year, because you don't want to take a chance one day going in the pool, forgetting to tighten down that crown, and you get water in there. You want to make sure your watch is waterproof. Well, that's my particular review of the Rolex 16613 Blue. I love this watch. I think it's great. I think if you can afford to own one, you should go out there and get one. This watch will last you the rest of your life. It's something that you can take care of and pass down through your family. It'll hold up that long if it's well maintained and taken care of. I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. If you did, give it a thumbs up, share it on social media. If you want a link to see what's available, click the link below, or go to my website, click the link to the webpage review, and you can get to some of watches that look like this that are not Rolex brands, but good-looking, durable watches, and even some of the Rolex subs that are available on Amazon right now. Thanks for watching. Take care, guys, and happy shopping. Thanks, guys, for taking the time to watch some of my videos. I really appreciate it. If you like these videos and you find them helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see new stuff that I put out, usually on a weekly basis, hit the subscribe button and you can get notified by clicking on that little bell. I really appreciate any sharing that you can do, and the thumbs up that I get if you like these videos kind of helps with my channel to grow. You'll see that in the descriptions and on my website I do put affiliate links to products that I show and use in these videos. Those affiliate links give me a little small commission. Doesn't cost you anything if you buy them. And when you buy within the first 24 hours of clicking on those links, I get a tiny little commission that helps keep this channel going. Any little bit helps to keep this up and running. Again, thanks for taking the time to watch it. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up and share on social media. Take care, guys. Happy watchmaking and jewelry making.